Hi, I'm Tom Lydon, editor of ETF Trends here in Hollywood, Florida at the Inside ETF conference. I'm here with Steve Dunn, who's the U.S. head of distribution for ETF Securities. Great seeing you, Steve.
Great to see you as well, Tom.
Another great year, a lot going on. We've got a new administration, but we want to talk about metals because, boy, we've started to see some movement here and some rebounds. What's your outlook in the metal space, and also, are all metals created equal?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, and I think the last time that we spoke was pre-election, so quite a bit has changed since our last conversation. So yeah, I mean, there's lots of interesting things going on in the metals market. There was a little bit of a give back post-election, which I think caught some folks by surprise, but we've already started to see sort of a new rally in 2017. There's a lot of interesting things that are going on. So typically you have some competing interests, but you also have some really good fundamental reasons behind sort of why metals in 2017. You know, as we've heard at the conference here, this concept of reinflation or inflation coming back into it, traditionally metals do really good things in inflationary type of environments. That's a good thing. The underlying fundamentals for the metals across the board are really good. Palladium, for example, we've talked a little bit about palladium in the past. Palladium has really taken off in 2017, up I think close to 12%, at least at this point in time. Combination of stories there, strong auto sales, palladium, its primary use is within the automobile industry. And if we continue to see this low interest rate for a long period of time, that's supportive to the entire metal group.
Yeah, so we've seen oil prices go up, we've seen wages go up. Inflationary numbers are starting to get there, which obviously are great for metals. And as you point out too, it's not just the inflation aspect of it, but you've also got the demand. So the fact that 55% of global market demand is in emerging market countries, and we don't really see that day in and day out. Talk about that a little.
No, and I think it is, I mean, to me, that's always the really interesting thing about commodities. Like, so most of these things are things that you can feel and see and you can use on a daily basis and things along those lines. And a lot of these metals, it comes down to a really easy concept. A lot of demand and lack of supply. In that type of situation, you have sort of a rise in prices, and that's what you see in things like the platinum and palladium world. Continued demand, not enough sort of coming out of the earth to support that demand, so naturally you're going to get higher prices. That's exactly what you see in palladium. It's been at a net deficit, meaning they're just not extracting as much out of the earth, and so therefore a combination of strong auto sales, not as much supply coming forward, that's going to force the prices up. It's just natural.
Absolutely. And talk a little bit about currencies. I mean, obviously they're all priced in dollars, right? So how does that affect things?
Yeah, I mean, you saw a little bit of a shockwave last week when new president-elect, or should I say president at this point in time, has suggested that the dollar was too strong, right? And so you saw that sort of reverberate through the marketplace. That is a strong message to send in the metals markets. Typically the metals markets will like a weaker dollar. And so if there continues to be pressure on the dollar in a downward sense, that is just super supportive across metals and commodities in general, to be quite honest. And so we'll continue to see that, and I think that's the other factor that comes into play. Risk is back on the table, right? So I think for a long time folks have tried to sort of set it aside or ignore it, but the reality is there's some unknowns in this marketplace. And as long as those risks continue to take place, metals, commodities will have a spot within your portfolio, and then factor onto it that potential inflation factor. So there's some interesting things that are going on that may set up 2017 to be a really good year for commodities and specifically metals.
So final point, you've got an ETF that I think is great because gold doesn't always correlate with silver. Platinum and palladium operate differently. You've got an ETF, Glitter, GLTR, which has a little of all four.
That's correct. Yeah, it really is a neat little product and a product that we like. If you're dealing with the average advisor or even a retail investor, most of them don't have an opinion. If you say, well, what's your opinion on gold or what's your opinion on, they don't necessarily have an opinion, but they may understand the dynamic aspects of putting these metals together and what they do in a portfolio. And that's exactly what this product does. It gives you sort of that inflation protection that gold gives you. It gives you the ability to participate participate in sort of this industrial type of run that we're seeing through platinum and palladium. Silver does a little bit of both. It gives you some of those characteristics of gold, but also gives you this industrial characteristics. Silver is used extensively in technology, it's used in medical, it's used all these type of things. That is a new usage that silver's coming into play, and I think the one to continue to watch. Silver to me has the best fundamentals sort of moving forward, and one that we continue to watch.
Well, it's going to be fun to watch and see how this year pans out. Steve, as always, great seeing you.
Thanks,
Thank
Tom.
you.
Appreciate it.